Here's a confession from the man teaching this class. He used to think Excel was for data nerds, then he started working. One Skillshare class takes the whole interface apart, unit by unit, and hands over the conventions that professional analysts actually use. 52,000 students have opened the file. This is Excel for the real world. Gain the basic skills of Microsoft Excel taught by Chen, 10 lessons, 61 minutes, built for beginners on a Mac or a PC. Here's the plan, the interface taken apart, formatting that stays readable, formulas and the famous VLOOKUP, and what 52,000 students said about all of it. Lesson 2 is the ribbon, the strip of tabs along the top where every button in Excel lives. Home, layout, tables, charts, data, you spend 4 minutes clicking around it, and then he teaches you to hide the whole thing because visible cells beat visible buttons. Lesson 3 is the workbook. The file is the workbook, the pages inside it are worksheets. Add them with the plus, drag them into order, and name every single one because later lessons pull values across sheets by name. Then Lesson 4 opens with the sharpest idea in the class, a color code borrowed from finance. Blue means a human typed it, black means a formula made it, green means the value came from another sheet. So Chapter 2, who is teaching? Chen. The class page bills him as an Excel trainer and a Coda evangelist, and this is Class 1 of 3. Class 2 covers keyboard shortcuts, Class 3 turns a spreadsheet into a presentation, and this one is the foundation. His credential is the confession in the trailer. He assumed spreadsheets belonged to data nerds and people without social skills. Then he started working and found he opened Excel every single day. Which is why the class teaches conventions rather than features. The color rules bankers and consultants share. The reference locks, the right paste. Features change with every release, conventions do not. Chapter 3, the contents. Inside, it's 61 minutes across 10 lessons. A trailer, 7 numbered units, and 2 lessons that keep going because the material needed more room than one video allowed. Nothing runs past 11 minutes. And the shape of it is deliberate. The first 3 lessons are orientation, the ribbon and the workbook under 10 minutes together. Formatting then takes 11. Selecting data and writing formulas take 21, the biggest block in the class. Nothing here is a feature tour. Every lesson ends with something you use the next time you open a file. And the longest lesson of all is the last one, 10 minutes on copy and paste, which sounds absurd until you watch it. First, though, back to the formatting bench. Lesson 5 picks up where the color code left off, and it is about legibility. A big number with no commas is a number nobody trusts. So, the comma button, the 2 decimal buttons, and the percent button all sitting inches apart on the ribbon. 33 million and change becomes readable in one click. 0.6 becomes 60% in another. Then comes the tip people remember for years. To center a heading across 2 cells, most of us merge them. And merging destroys one of those cells along with every formula that pointed at it. Center across selection looks identical on screen and keeps both cells alive. Same result, no casualties. It sits one menu item below merge and almost nobody finds it. Now, the core of the class. Because the next 3 lessons run 21 minutes between them and they are the reason this class exists. Everything before was orientation. This is the work. Select it, then solve it. Lesson 6 is selecting data and it carries 2 tricks. Hold the command key and you can select cells nowhere near each other. Then grab the small square at the corner and drag. Excel reads 1, 2, 3, 4 and keeps counting. It does the same with January, February, March. Lesson 7 is the grammar of a formula and it never changes. An equals sign, a function name, then whatever goes in the brackets. Add a column with plus signs or with SUM and the answer is identical. Average gives 55.99 and so does dividing. Lesson 8 adds text functions and one character that matters enormously. Left slices the first few letters off a cell. Concatenate glues 2 cells together. And a $sign locks a reference so copying a formula does not change what it points at. The same lesson ends with the formula everybody has heard of. VLOOKUP, here is the problem it solves. 6 rows of characters in television shows and your eye finds the answer instantly. 1,000 rows and your eye gives up. VLOOKUP lets you ask the sheet the question instead, find this value for me and bring back whatever sits beside it. It takes 4 arguments, read left to right. What am I looking for? Where should I look, remembering that the search column has to be the first column of the table? Which column do I want back, counted from that left edge? And do I want an exact match where the answer is always yes? Type it out and boy meets world comes back. He tells you to practice it until it is automatic. Lesson 9 is lists and sorting, and it starts with the filter menu which lives on the data tab. You know it worked when small arrows appear in your header row. Untick the shows you do not want and the list shrinks. The part most people miss is that filters stack. Narrow by one column, then narrow the survivors by another. 2 clicks and the noise is gone. Its sibling is the sort menu, which does far more than a to Z. Open the custom sort, choose your first rule, then press the plus and a second rule appears underneath it. Sort by show alphabetically, then by rating, largest first. Excel applies them in order from the top down, which is how a list of 1,000 rows answers a real question in about 4 clicks. Which brings us to lesson 10, the longest lesson in the class, paste special. 10 whole minutes on something you have done 10,000 times already. Here is why it earns them. When you copy a cell and paste it, you did not move a number. You moved the formula, the font color, and the fill color all at once. And the references shifted on the way, which is how a working number quietly becomes a wrong one. Choose paste special, then values, and the 6 arrives alone. No formula underneath, no colors, nothing that can recalculate later. This is the paste that freezes a result. Paste formats does the opposite. It copies the styling and leaves your numbers alone, which saves rebuilding a table you formatted once already. Paste formulas takes the logic and none of the paint. The menu holds a dozen more. Now, the student's verdict. So does it deliver? 91% of students said the class met or exceeded expectations. 33% said it exceeded them outright. And on the most liked board, the winner is clarity of instruction, with 581 votes. Helpful examples, organized lessons, actionable steps, engaging teacher, and audio quality all follow close behind. And no tag on the board falls below 2/3 of the leader. Which is exactly the shape you want from a beginner class. Not one dazzling quality carrying 5 weak ones. A level board, led by the thing that matters most when you are learning something new, which leaves one last question. So who is it for? Self-taught spreadsheet users who already get answers out of Excel and get them the slow way. Anyone handed somebody else's file because color codes and locked references make a stranger's model readable. And chronic copy and pastors for whom the final lesson alone is worth the hour. Because under the ribbon, the formulas, and the sort menus, the class keeps repeating one small idea in 8 words. Excel is a habit. Build good ones early. Color your inputs blue from the first day, lock your references before you copy, and you never spend an afternoon hunting a model that broke itself. Which brings us at last to the final verdict. So the verdict, worth 61 minutes. Comfortably, you come out able to read a spreadsheet somebody else built, write the formulas that cover most everyday work, and move data around without breaking it. 2 fair warnings: there are no pivot tables, no charts, and no macros here. And the screen recordings use an older Mac build, so a few buttons have moved since. Neither changes the ideas. One last thing before you go. It's included with a Skillshare membership, and there's a free trial. So click the link in the description, press play, and color your next hard-coded number blue. One small habit starting today, that's the whole assignment, and it costs you nothing. See you in the next review.